Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Panel, the comic book podcast, webcast that knows everything about comics, and we are going to stick to that story no matter who comes and denies us. I'm Spin Dash, and with me here tonight is the Space Chief.
Hey, everybody.
We got Jules.
Hi, everybody.
Uni is here.
For once, hi.
Pedro.
Hi.
Or as we're calling him tonight, Frank Castle.
You can
Rainbow
call
Red
me
Panda and her sidekick Norton.
Hi.
Serenity herself, Megan.
Hi.
And tonight, our special guest joining us tonight, you will know him from his works Olympus, who is Jake Ellis, Dream Merchant, and the currently Black Widow and the Punisher over on Marvel, Mr. Nathan Edmondson. Sir, thank you for joining us here tonight.
My pleasure.
So tonight we got him on, and of course we're going to be talking a lot about the new current series that are going on with you from Marvel. With the new Black Widow and the new Punisher series, or as it's known down in Brazil, Justiceiro. Right, Pedro? Justiceiro.
Yeah. In case you know, Pedro's in Brazil right now. He's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. He's our international member.
So we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to talk about some of your other works here tonight, sir. So we want to start off to talk about you've written books for a slew of different companies. You've written from Image, DC, and Marvel. For you working with these companies, and now that you're working on these two new books, how did Marvel approach you and say, hey, we want you to do Black Widow and we want you to do the Punisher?
Well, it was one and then the other, and it was Axel Alonso who approached me, and Axel had a vision for Marvel with less and less of a house style, with creators with great chemistry, creating books that they loved, and he approached me and Phil Noto about Black Widow, and then I had an offer of several other books that I could choose for a second book, and the opportunity to do The Punisher with Mitch, especially from an issue 1 and from a very, raw place, was, it was impossible to turn down, and so we chose that, and it was that simple.
Nice.
Now with Black Widow, of course, this is bringing Black Widow back to her atoning for her past as a villain, instead of what we've seen her a lot lately as with the Avengers and with the Avengers. So this is her new solo series. How was it writing kind of a redemption story for her, where we are seeing her back in the spy, assassin type of storyline?
Well, we wanted to take what people... I should say, rather, we didn't want to contradict what people knew about the character from the comics or from the films, because we know that a lot of readers are coming from the film franchise, and also taking the opportunity to embrace the appetites that a lot of potential female readers had, and so to allow those factors, and then just the pure chemistry of Phil and I, and the kind of story we wanted to tell, and the kind of spy story we wanted to tell, to generate to generate a character, really, and we just followed her. Once we felt like we created her and understood her, we just chased after her, and that's what we're still doing. So there was very little. There was a little bit of publisher mandate in terms of what we could and couldn't do, but for the most part, we had a lot of free reign to just create a very original book, and so that's what we set out to do. And but as the case with most of the things I work on, most of the credit just goes to Phil for just being awesome, I guess. I mean, it hardly matters what I write. I feel like it's going to look great, so I don't know why I worry about it.
Well, the words are great too. I love both series. I can say that.
Me too.
I love this.
I'm kind of in love with the new Black Widow, not gonna lie. Read the first 3 issues in like 5 minutes. It was kind of sad.
I mean, everybody said that by my count except for Megan, so I think she doesn't like it.
No, are you kidding me? Okay, my
I was watching all these little screens. Everybody else said nice things.
I bide my time. I bide my time. No, because
Megan is Mystique. If you remember the Mystique line of comics, that's who that is right there. That's who was on the cover of those Mystique comics a couple years ago. So we let her kind of do whatever she wants when she wants.
Me feel offended and insecure because
Megan, atone.
A tone. Well, okay. I mean, obviously, because, stuff like Mystique's like near and dear to my heart. So, like, characters like this are uber important to me. These really strong female characters. And right now, Black Widow is being hailed as one of the foremost in these line of female characters that they're bringing out that are being called really important for the female readers. I mean, up there with She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel, what you're doing is vastly important, not just only to the female readers, but for the whole comic book world in general. Your book is, being called like one of the ones that is being, is up there in like the top 5 of the most important ones that are doing that right now. It's so important that to have these female characters that are, these strong, independent, that aren't, they're pulling a Galadriel complex to just support a male character. And it's really important. And I have to wonder, and I really wanted to ask you if, because this has been written up now, about this, is it going to influence your writing now?
Not really. I mean, we know who, the kind of story. I mean, we mapped out the story far in advance, and we felt very comfortable with the character that we felt, that we manifested between the two of us. We had a couple of admissions between one another, and we said there were a few things we were not going to do with the character. There were a few things we definitely wanted to do with the character, and the truth about writing is that when you have created a character who is when you've truly created a character, I should say, or embraced a character in your writing, you get to a point where you're not really telling their story, you're just following them and documenting it. It's kind of like making a terrarium where you put animals in it alive and then you just watch them do what they do, interacting in the terrarium. And it's the same way with the character. So at this point, we're just watching her do what she does. We might move her location to location, but I feel like I have very little control over her at this point. I will say I did tell Phil that there were only 2 characters I'd ever worked on that I had a crush on, and she was one of them. Which is to say that, you get characters to a point where you feel a real affinity toward them. You might dream about them. You might, you just feel a sense of like loss when you realize you don't actually know them. And so she's somebody that we've talked about enough and worked on enough. But I think that mainly has to do with Phil's art. It's hard not to have an affinity toward or any kind of emotional reaction towards one of his characters. They're just so brilliant and beautiful.
Good question, Megan.
But you work on the personality and the character of Black Widow. You kind of complement these things with his great art. So I guess this book is one of my favorites yet.
Well, thank you.
I was just really happy to hear that you have such an affinity for your characters, and it's got to make it easier to write for them when you do.
Usually, I don't like all of them. Some of them I can't stand, but yeah, this one I like.
Gotta pay the bills. Gotta pay those bills.
Yeah.
Just curious, who are those characters you can't stand?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I kill them off pretty quickly.
Now, I know this week you tweeted out, was that the second printing of Black Widow that was the blue instead of the red?
Yeah, the second, I believe, of 3 so far. So yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, that I don't know if anybody else saw that. I retweeted it.
It's in its third printing now. Is that?
That's my understanding. Is it's issues 1 and 2, maybe 3, back in their third printing. But I at this point, I've kind of lost track. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's the case.
Well, congratulations on that, man.
I know 1 and 2 are because I couldn't find it anywhere, and I managed to find it today, and was like, all mine. No one can have them. So
I'm proud to say the first 3 all first printings.
yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, no, it's doing well. We heard the other day that the Mars rover asked for a couple of copies. They had to send a special rocket, and so we're intergalactic now.
All right.
Widow would be proud.
Now, what I do love about what I do love is you read it, and she is doing these jobs for hire, but at the same time, she still has her moral compass. Because especially in issue 3, there was the situation. She found out something about the job that she was doing, and she kind of made her own decision on that, on how to handle it. So while she's doing this for Atonement, she's doing these hired jobs, but she's still you're still seeing that she has this moral compass of who she is or who she's trying to be. And then, of course, I just hope she lets the cat in the house at some point. She needs to let the cat in. The cat.
That's what I said.
Yeah. I like the cat.
The sixth and 7th issues are her dealing with fleas. It's a rough battle.
That's
A thermobaric grenade to get rid of them in the end.
So sort of AIM neurotoxin release.
Black Widow. Assassin.
There's too much AIM going on in the Marvel Universe as it is.
There's a lot of AIM going on. A lot of AIM guys coming around nowadays. Maybe Living Deadpool even had an old AIM scientist in it.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you kill off most of Hydra.
In Avengers World, I think. Didn't they just create a giant AIM island?
Yeah. Whenever we get Hickman on, we'll ask him about his crazy AIM island and what he's doing. So we got Black Widow going on, but at the same time, of course, we do have the new Punisher series where Frank Castle is now in Los Angeles. So what was the call to move him from New York to a new place? What was the call to do that?
Well, in issue 2, we explained it for the most part that he's been following this trail of crime and criminals, and there's a few reasons behind it. In addition to that, I mean, you've now got some pretty significant superhero muscle that's taken up residence in New York. Black Widow and Hawkeye among them, and so I think there was maybe a loss of purpose a little bit, but also he is on the trail of a very specific crime ring, I guess, trying to follow that circle. And so, that's the narrative explanation. But from the point of view of the storytellers, Los Angeles gave us an opportunity to approach the character in what we felt was a very fresh way that we hadn't seen before. When we were approaching the character and we started thinking about him in New York, it was hard to really identify a story that we were going to tell that hadn't been told before and didn't feel too familiar. And so changing the setting for him a little bit allowed us to explore the character all over again, to identify exactly what it is that makes him do what he does, because it's not the city that he's in. It's the criminals he's up against and the Punisher, what he is. And so that could help us to really elucidate that quality, or the quality that makes the Punisher the Punisher. Plus, he's a sucker for the maple bacon donuts at the Nickel Diner. I mean, I think they're worth crossing the country for. And he's a human being with taste buds like everybody else.
I've heard about those. They have them in Canada. The guy was telling me how great they were.
There's no comparison to the Nickel Diner. Plus, the Eggs Benedict at Hugo's on Riverside and Coldwater in the Valley, yeah. It's,
I gotta say, my new favorite character is Loot. And I'm hoping nothing bad happens to him in the future because I'm attached to him.
He got shot 4 times in the second issue. I mean, something bad has already happened to him.
Oh, I mean, look at it. He's alive. He's a survivor. If he just gets taken out now, I'll be sad.
Yeah, it's funny reading all the tweets where everybody thinks he's the Punisher's pet. I'm like, Punisher gave him away immediately.
Kind of put him in a cage, too. That was a great reveal, though, and when you see him. And I won't ruin it for anybody, but you just read the book. It's good.
I'm waiting
Yeah,
to.
I still got to get my books from the week because I was in Texas for a week, so I had to go get my books tomorrow.
I like the idea of him using some shirts of other heroes. Who came up with this idea? You or Mitch?
That was all Mitch. All Mitch, yeah. Those are the only 2 shirts that Mitch owns, actually. So when he's doing rep, it's hard for he's got to draw what his.
Oh.
Well, this is what I got.
Now, was it also his idea to put Danny Trejo in issue number 1? The guy that he took out on the boat is
that.
What?
Yeah,
if you look, Megan, in issue 1, look at the guy that takes out at the beginning. It's Danny Trejo.
Yeah, and like we really wanted to get that scene really right, so we actually fed Danny Trejo to some crocodiles. If you look at his IMDb page, he hasn't starred in anything since then.
You'd be surprised what Danny Trejo is game for.
We can edit that out.
Really?
Nobody comes after you.
Do tell.
Bacon is full of surprises.
No. I'm just saying he's a really nice guy, and
Well, you got to
really
be
nice
the
guy.
star in a few Spy Kids movies.
Hey, he's Machete. That's all there's to
Yeah,
it.
there's nowhere to go but up from there.
Yeah.
And working with me,
go ahead,
since you guys work together in the activity, you have kind of, what to expect from Mitch, or he always surprises you at some point?
I think I'm still getting surprised. It's like any good relationship. I mean, it's you keep the romance alive, right? And he's constantly doing things to surprise me. Part of it is that he's there's a lot of things to do in the Punisher that we could never do in the activity. You're gonna so he has the opportunity to kind of stretch different muscles. It's different opportunities for him. So it's exciting to see what he does, given certain corners of the Marvel U to play with. And then it's only going to get, I think, more interesting. I guess we've got a lot of new settings and other things coming up that we've never seen before. Oh,
this is my first real introduction to the Punisher. I actually seen 5 minutes of the movie, but I've never read any comics, and I'm very, very excited for it. So thank you for writing it, first of all, because if you didn't, I would have never read it. But yeah, I love it because
that logic.
I love it because he's just awesome. I can't even put it into words, but so I'm a Punisher fan now. I'm really happy.
I was trying to get Jules to read Punisher comics for a while and telling her to watch the movie. So this was the perfect jumping on point for her starting at a #1 issue. So I think that's what she's getting at.
Yeah.
One of our goals setting out was that we wanted to bring in female readers to the Punisher, which is something that a lot of people told us would never happen. So even if you're the only one, we have succeeded.
Yay!
There will be another. There will be another. We just didn't find #1 today.
We talk. I tweeted with you sometime about the Netflix deal with Marvel and Daredevil, and you expect that someday your Punisher could be a Netflix series or a TV series?
I know there's some interest in heading towards television with the Punisher. I think I'd really like to see that. I think that's a natural place to bring the Punisher, especially since, there's not a lot of studios who want to stake, appropriate amount of money for a film right now, since the films have not done well. But I don't know. It's not up to me. We'll see. We wanted to create a series that would make sense if it were transported to television or film, and that existed in a space that people could look at and say, I get it. I totally see this. And I think, you can very easily look at this series, especially as you see it going forward, and see that it really exists in that Ally McBeal space, or the I don't know, maybe iCarly crowd is into it. So if we can get them watching,
Yeah.
But,
I would have loved on the Punisher just appear in iCarly with an AK and just take out the whole section.
I want to see him show up in the Good Wife.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Crash through the window.
No.
Put some thermite grenades around.
Well, it could be
But
a good
Nathan-
jumping on point for a show if they put him in, like if he makes an appearance in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then maybe does a backdoor pilot, because they've already had, they've just introduced Deathlock. It could be something.
And then
I'm not a
might watch
producer.
some more.
I
would be
definitely welcome the idea. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to say personally myself, thank you for the series Punisher, because I am a longtime Punisher fan, and I've been waiting for an ongoing Punisher forever, and I love it. And the expectations were high, and you met all my expectations, sir. And I absolutely love the series.
Well, there we go.
Megan, go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh.
but the one thing I want to say was the difference with your Punisher, though, is that you're bringing out a different side of him, and it's not just about the biggie. Is that it's not just about him and his vengeance this time, is it?
No, we wanted a character that was, well, on one hand, we've got the macro or the exterior elements, which are that he's being hunted by a fairly notable contingent of the Marvel U. He's being he's hunting as well, and he's very much on the offensive. But simultaneously, there's the interior aspects to the series, which are his relatability, his desire to at least to have a connection with humanity, and the way he deals with being alone, and why that's so important. And so what was the question?
No, because that what everybody is talking about, that this time with the Punisher, that it's not just about his vengeance, that you're bringing forth all this other side, and yes, it is about him being hunted as well. That you're bringing forth a lot of these other aspects of him. So it's making, like you said, it's bringing him a lot more relatable.
It's hard to sell a character who's angry all the time.
Unless it's the Hulk.
It's just, that's why the Hulk's not angry all the time.
That's why they
no one would want to read it if he was always grinning.
Yeah, the Hulk loves puppies.
The whole
So
so maybe Frank Castle loves guinea pigs.
Yeah. So
Well,
people
there's a moment where he does kind of question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. I'm not going to say anything intelligent. But
No, there's a moment in the new Punisher where he does kind of question his war, his personal war. He says something like, I read a stack of books once to justify what I was doing. And it seems like he's kind of questioning what he's doing along the way.
yeah, well, you can't. I mean, look, if he's going to be successful at what he does, he can't be stupid, and he can't be blind, and he can't be, I mean, he's got, there are a lot of things that have to be there for him to be as effective as he is. He's not a machine. So we had to identify what those things are and to what extent we would see him. And part of that came from, Mitch and I working on the activity, became acquainted with a lot of guys, for example, in the unit, Delta Force, some guys in Dev Group, SEAL Team 6 level guys, and to understand how their minds work when you're turned into essentially, a killing machine, somebody who is designed to end lives and take down armies single-handedly. Like that's an incredible. So what do those personalities look like? And they all have personalities. They joke and they laugh and they have to deal with what they do. And so our understanding of that psychology, I think, helped us to approach the Punisher.
Our own Mr. Spindash is a Marine, actually. And
which one? There we go. Okay.
I have put on some weight, but I did serve proudly my country.
Well, thank you.
Luckily, my family is still here. I didn't call Chief to say we need to go kill John Travolta or something. So we're good on that one. Although, Chief, no, we'll save that for later. Now, another book that you have.
Pain in my ass.
Now, another book that you got, Dream Merchant. We're getting a new issue, Chief. You looked it up in June, correct? That's when we're getting.
That's what I found at the Image website. It said in June. I believe it's June when issue 4 comes out, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, I have all the inks in hand, but the artist has been difficult to. Well, we don't know what's going on. He something to do. He lives in Russia and does not speak English, and he, for a while, went AWOL, and we don't quite know where he. Anyway, yes. I mean, hopefully that is an accurate projection. As far as I know, at this point, I've sort of taken a back seat. I write all my script 6 months or 6 issues in advance, and then I'm all done.
The art in that book is insane, though. I reviewed the first one when it came out a long time ago, and I just absolutely love the art in Dream Merchant. Hopefully you can be found and it will be finished, because I absolutely love that. I mean, the artwork is so. It's like I said in the review. It almost looks like stills of like animation stills in parts of the artwork, and I really love that about it.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Constantine's, and very happy to be working with him. And fortunately, he was a guy worth waiting for. That's what sometimes the price you pay with finding an artist who has such a unique voice. You can't really do without him. But yeah, no, I think people in the book, oddly gets bigger and bigger, like at an exponential rate over the next couple of issues.
Awesome.
I look forward to that. Well, it was one of my favorite new Image series when it came out. I immediately just fell in love with it. I mean, it's the artwork it totally complements the story, and it's totally a unique story, which I love, and I can't wait for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it was my best received book at Image for sure. The sales were very strong. The reception was very good. I think I was a little trepidatious to. I love doing stuff. I love doing multiple genres all the time, and that is to say, like, my interests are various and or various, one or the other. So, but I've done a couple of books in a row that were in a little bit of a different space, and so approaching this one, which was really just sort of running out towards the horizon of sci-fi and fantasy in a couple of spaces, much like this one shot I'm working on, Genesis, was a little daunting, but in both cases, I've been very gratified to see they paid off. So, the ecstasy that we had, blended into the ink on the pages apparently, transferred well.
It worked on me.
I love Dream Merchant. The main character, I like. Winslow was his name, I think. To me, he's such an innocent, and he's going on this journey trying to figure out how to fight through his dreams or how to hide so that he doesn't get found. And I just fell in love with him.
That's a good segue. You've written all different kinds of genres. Which one do you just like to switch it up? Is there one in particular that you love to write? You've done like horror to mainstream hero books, so there's so many different things there.
It's I'm inspired by a lot of different genres.
Well, we've seen that both Olympus and Who is Jake Ellis were picked up to be made into films. Is that still happening in the future? Or are those still coming along?
I can't. Yeah, I can say certainly. Who's Jake Ellis is pretty public where we are, right? I can't talk too much about. I can't talk too much about it, but I can just say that I have multiple film projects going, both from my original screenplays and from adaptations of several comic properties. Jake Ellis is certainly very, very hot on the tracks. We have an incredible director, the holy grail of directors, and we have some other very exciting filmmakers and talent coming aboard now. But I think at this point, that's about all I can say about anything we're doing.
We don't want you to get in trouble. So. Well, what do you think of comics being made into movies in general? Are there any that you don't like, that you do like? Best one to date so far?
That's a good question. I don't know that I know what the best one might be. There's certainly some that have been worse than others. I think those tend to be pretty obvious. But that doesn't necessarily say anything about the comic, which is the interesting thing. But I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little more to think if there's something that I'm particularly a fan of more than something else.
What is your opinion like on the Comic-Con scene? Is that going to Comic-Cons? Is that a really do you look forward to going to Comic-Cons and talking with fans, or is it something you kind of dread doing and you'd rather just do the work and kind of avoid the crowds and the craziness of the cons? Or
it's a little of both. I enjoy some of the parties. I enjoy seeing certain friends that I only see at the conventions. I do enjoy interacting with some readers, but at the end of the day, I wish I didn't, and now, like this year, I'm going to very few cons. I'll do a few signings and stuff, but I've been cutting down on the conventions I go to pretty radically. I'm doing a ridiculous amount of travel this year. A lot of it, though, is just being in LA, and some of it's international, and it's harder and harder to justify conventions. So there's usually has to be I'm doing a convention in Washington, D.C. in April, but I'm also going to be meeting with some people from the CIA, meeting with some old friends that I used to work with in DC, meeting with, so it's like there's several, and plus, I've got several friends I'll connect with there. So, if I can hit like several notes at once and strike a chord for a weekend, and it's a little more justifiable for me. There's some cons I kind of have to go to, but I think this year will be the first year, at least I think, unless I change my mind last minute, that I'm going to skip Emerald City in many years. But it's just I don't really have time. I think I've got 8 or 9 trips over the next 2 months. I'll be gone more than every weekend.
All right. So these are fun questions that everybody answers. We call them "Some Days You Just Can't Get Rid of a Bomb." So the first question, actually, Chief, you gotta ask this one. This was your question. Okay. You got to ask the first one.
Okay. Alan Moore, madman or genius, or both?
I don't know him. I don't know him. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't think I'm qualified to answer.
All right, so
now, these aren't questions everybody answers. Everybody has to give their own answer on this one, on all of these questions. So
I say both.
Go ahead, Chief.
I say both, but in the most complimentary fashion. I think that there's a good way to be a madman. Like, I would consider myself somewhat of a madman myself, but so I kind of consider Alan Moore kind of both. I am endlessly entertained by his statements that he makes, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of The Watchmen, V for Vendetta. I love all of his stuff, and I think the guy's a mix of both. Jules,
fair enough.
Me,
in a good way, complimentary madman.
I say genius. Keith just made me read something that he did recently, and he's like, "You have to read it." I don't remember what it was called, and I was reading it, and I was like, "This is awesome." There's an echo. But yeah, so I'm gonna say genius. I don't think he's a madman. I think he just says it how it is. I don't know.
He's kind of a polarizing guy. I mean, there's people either you like him or you don't. I mean, or you like love him or you just think he's whacked out. But I mean, I love the guy.
Yeah, I think he's great.
I'm kind of in the middle because I don't really read a lot of his work, so I can't judge either way.
Hey, everybody came back. Amazing.
Yay.
Just in time to answer the question.
Oh, no. No?
I believe Panda would be next.
Good job, Megan. Good job.
I kind of agree with you, Chief, in that he is a little bit of both. I think that in order to be, like, the best madman possible, you have to be a little bit genius, and having people question, what you're doing is sort of, I don't know, a good quality to have in a madman, because you never know what's going to come from him next. And I love The Watchmen, and I love like a lot of the things that he's done, but I know people that are just like, what is this? Like, where did it come from? What is he thinking? And I think that's what he wants, and that's like his end plan. So I think he's a little bit of both.
Indeed. Sven, are you okay? Your iPad flying around the room? There you go. Killing Joke, another great Alan Moore book, too. Love that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it kind of takes a little bit of a madman to write something like that.
I think with someone like Alan Moore, who is a very good writer, he's also very opinionated. He's very opinionated about his creations and what happens to his creations. So, yeah, I think he's a little bit of both. But you can't deny he is brilliant when it comes to writing.
Indeed. The Brazilian and American versions of Killing Joke.
Awesome.
Megan, thoughts on Alan?
You're seeing American and Brazilian.
What? I know, right? Okay, so what was the question, teacher?
Alan Moore, genius or madman?
Okay, I have read extensively Alan Moore. I've read almost his entire body of work, and he is by far a genius. I mean, and maybe it does take a madman to to write that brilliantly, but good goddamn. Wow. I mean, really, the only reason his works aren't on, like, the New York bestseller lists are because they are graphic novel. If they were just plain written books, they'd be on every list out there. I mean, Hugo Award winner notwithstanding. But yeah, so.
And in fact, Chief, if you remember, when we first started Panel to Panel, when we would do reviews on books, instead of giving them a star rating, we would actually give them the Alan Moore beard of approval.
Yep.
Yeah, that was right. I remember that. We used to have the Alan Moore thing come in. Yeah, that was like the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
And Pedro, the final say.
Every writer has his approach to his story, so some of them are more passionate and some of them are not so passionate. And Alan Moore seems to be passionate about his work, and he should be proud of all writers, and creators should be proud of their creation.
Yep.
Boys, that question didn't go over as well as I thought, Spin.
Sorry, what were you expecting? I don't know.
Hey, it's okay.
Hey, man. These are the crazy
Well, this next one.
Sorry.
This next one will be fun. This next one is fun. All right. If you could reboot a character from any publisher or era, gold, silver, or etc., who would it be, and how would you change their origin story? And guests always go first.
If I could reboot any character, I think I'd probably reboot Grifter and change his origin story.
By the way, Spin was a huge Grifter fan, by the way. That's one we forgot to mention earlier.
Canceling
Series was over.
on purpose.
Okay.
Who's next? You going, Spin? I'm going to go last.
I want to go.
Okay, I want Megan. Go ahead, Megan.
I'm going to cause a rift right now.
Let's do this.
I'd reboot The Walking Dead.
Oh.
Please.
Yeah.
I'll hear you out.
All that muck, because I actually have started reading The Walking Dead, and I can't stand it. Yeah.
Oh, so wrong.
Yeah. Bring it on, big man.
I could see why, because, and Hickman even admits it, he said, if I could sit down and go back and rewrite it, I would. There's things I've learned from, like, doing the TV show and later on in the comic series that he now kind of regrets from his earlier stuff. So
Yeah, I've heard it. He regrets killing a few people. He wish he would have had him on a little longer after since he's been doing the show.
and that happens when you've got a long-standing series and can reflect on it later on.
Gotcha.
But,
And I have huge complaints with the whole first issue. So yeah.
All right, Uni, who would you reboot?
mine's gonna be Elektra, because the poor character that freaking kind of got. I love you, Frank Miller, but please don't hate me on this. She kind of got the shaft. I mean, she didn't really get too much of a background other than go be this dude's girlfriend. They tried to give her another background, which I'm currently reading, and it's terrible, but it's hilarious all at the same time. Then they tried to go back and fix everything and just make it worse. I'm sitting here going, just reboot her. Give her a new life. My poor Elektra.
Okay.
All right.
I can see that.
Jules.
Or Jules.
I do not have one that I want to reboot. I like, so far, I think I like all of the origin stories that I've read. So, 0.
Aw, you're no fun.
I know. I like everything I read pretty much. So,
She's too nice.
We'll let you slide on it, Jules.
Well, I was thinking of Superman because I was like, oh, that's like the story that I have the most time invested in, I feel like. But I was like, I love his story, so I can't pick him. And then if I change Batman's origin, he wouldn't be Batman. So, I don't know. That was a hard one. I just don't have one, I guess. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, Panda.
I don't know that I have necessarily changed the origin, but I would like to see the Watchmen series rebooted. They had like last year the Before Watchmen, and some of those stories I liked, but some of them I thought were either pointless or I didn't like them. Like the Dollar Bill one shot was completely unnecessary and non-fitting. I would like
I like that one.
I liked it, but it just didn't. It wasn't written bad, but I mean, he wasn't even really part of the original thing. It was just sort of like something to throw money at. And of course, I'm the person that throws money at everything, so yeah. But so I don't know. I would like to see a continuation of that. I don't know how exactly it would go about. Maybe how they've done like Justice League 3000 and do like I don't even know, just like a reincarnation.
I thought I heard rumors of like an After Watchmen thing that might be going on, but I'm not sure if that's going on anymore.
That'd be cool. I don't know. Either that or I don't know. That's gonna be my
Pedro?
Yep, Pedro. I don't know. I guess I didn't reboot any character. I guess some stories are good to tell, even if it's a story we don't like. The story may be a personal story for somebody else. So I guess I didn't change.
Awesome. And now I will go, and mine's weird. I want a reboot of the old Marvel Tarzan series. I want a new Tarzan comic. And I would change his origin. I wouldn't change it that much, but I would modernize his origin, I guess. Maybe update it for a future audience.
That'd be good.
I would like to see a new Tarzan.
And I would reboot Josie and the Pussycats.
How did I know you were going to say
I
that?
knew that was coming.
Why am I not surprised?
We need a new Josie and the Pussycats, and I will bring them to life.
Awesome.
I really thought you were going to say Howard.
Rachel Cook look-alike. You know I'm talking about you in the bottom screen here.
Yeah, I used to get the Rachel Lee Cook thing a lot. I'll do Josie and the Pussycats. All right. No problem.
Can I bring back Tara Reid? Or after Sharknado, after Sharknado, no more Tara Reid?
Sharknado did her in there.
No. I'll take back Tara
It's
Reid.
actually the highlight of her career, I think.
Poor thing.
All right.
I was endlessly entertained by Sharknado, by the way, as bad as the movie as it was. I watched
I
it.
still got to see it.
I laughed at it a lot.
I saw a poster and I thought of you, Chief.
All right,
I was like, I should get that for him. It's a Sharknado poster. I was like, they really made a poster of Sharknado? What? So,
There's a sequel
Come
coming.
on, people are cosplaying as Sharknado.
I haven't seen it. I want
Yeah,
to watch it.
let's not discuss that.
I want to watch it, but I don't know.
So. All right, what's the next awesome question we have?
All right, this is the final question. The last question. Who would you trust to guard your comics or valuables? Sheldon Cooper,
Well, we know who you're going to
There
pick.
you go.
Larfleeze, or Gollum?
Okay. That's my only option.
We'll start with, actually, Nathan, we start with you.
Yeah.
That's tough because, on one side you've got Sheldon, who's a stickler for rules, but is, the farthest thing from tough. And the other end you've got Gollum, who would chew through somebody's finger bones to get your comics out of their hand, yet the guy wouldn't show up for work on time. Like, he wouldn't understand the concept of books. I think I'd go for Gollum though, just for the stories and riddles.
Good choice.
Panda.
I actually think that I would go with Sheldon because Larfleeze would steal them. Golem, I think the hardest to get them back. Sheldon would guard them. He might read them, but if he does, he would make sure that they stay in their pristine condition because that's just how he is. And he's going to, let you have them at the end of the day. As long as you aren't abusing them in his mind, then he might think that that's some sort of nerd code and they're being confiscated. But I don't know. I think he would be the best. And if anyone tried to steal them or anything, I think that he would be able. Well, he's not strong. He has his ways of persuasion. So I think he would be my pick.
Jules.
This is a
Jules
tough
wrote
one.
this one, so she kind of thought of that.
I did. I thought of this question. I was so excited to ask it. I love Gollum so much. He's like one of my favorite characters in the world. So I would pick him because he kept the ring safe for so long. I mean, he eventually lost it, so I might be out of luck with that. But am I still on?
You're frozen, but I can hear your voice.
All of a sudden, everybody just froze. I was like, ooh, my answer just like stopped time or something, but no. So I would have to go with Gollum because I love him so much. He's like one of my favorite fictional characters ever. If he was real, I would try to be like best friends with him. And I don't know, Larfleeze would be a good choice just because everything's mine. But yeah, Gollum is my man.
Right on.
Pedro.
Sticking to it.
I don't know. I don't trust them, so I will guard them myself.
Nobody.
My friends.
None of choices.
You have to
Pedro's being the rebel.
Just kidding.
Uni.
I'd probably have Sheldon just because at least I could hold a conversation with him.
Gotcha.
Megan.
Megan?
Okay, who is Larfleeze?
He's the Orange Lantern.
Richard?
Yeah, I didn't know either. That's why I didn't choose him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Sheldon couldn't protect my comic books from my dog. My dog weighs 5 pounds. So yeah, he's out. Golem, you'd never get your books back from. So I'm gonna have to go with Larfleeze. Yeah.
Chief.
They're just out of
I kind of agree with Pedro. It's kind of a hard choice there, but I'm gonna have to go with Sheldon because he's human. I could take him if I needed to get my books back, and I think that he would bring up some sort of scientific defense system. He wouldn't necessarily have to rely on strength. He could bring up some sort of scientific alarm system or deterrence that would protect your comic books. So I got to go with Sheldon on that one. Spin you the final answer.
I think I'll go with Sheldon. Because Larfleeze, I mean, everything is his. Golem, I favor my fingers, and I don't want to bite them off. And after that, he may actually fall into a pit of lava, and then my valuables would be gone anyway. So I'm going to go with Sheldon.
Gotcha.
Now, before we want you here for this because we do have something we have to do, and it involves Pedro. Pedro, you have been a valuable member of the panel crew for quite a while. So it breaks my heart to have to do this to you and say you're going to have to wait by your mailbox for this to arrive.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
It's all yours, man. We all got together and pitched in, and we got it for you, and it's going to be on its way very soon.
For those listening on the podcast, I am holding a New Mutants number 98, first appearance of Deadpool. Pedro's Holy Grail. Pedro's Holy Grail of comics.
And it's on its way.
I wanted to tell you, when you said the other day, when we were talking on Facebook, and you said that it was like your holy, when I said I want a TWD, and you said, yeah, that's like my New Mutants 98, I wanted to tell you so bad, and these guys were on the Pedro 8 convo going, don't tell them, are you nuts? Don't tell them yet. So, we got this for you,
Yeah, we've
buddy.
had this for a few weeks.
We were
It's hard not to tell you.
We threw around a couple ideas. We were just going to mail it to you and not tell you until you got it in the mail. But we figured because, it's got to go through customs and everything like that.
It's like 2 months away, so.
It's like 2 months.
We thought
wanted
you'd
you to know
know
what's
first.
coming.
I'll see what you got to look
Thank
out
you
for in case
guys.
it gets lost.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. Thank you all for doing this.
Well, we love you, man.
I'm very honored to be with you guys, and thank you for the New Mutants. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
Make sure you give us.
English is not even my first language.
Make sure you give an extra special thank you to Panda, because Panda is the one who organized everyone together to get you this book. This was all Panda to organize it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Let me go to bed and cry a little bit. So.
You want to see it one more time? You want to see it one more time? There it is.
There it is, buddy.
One more time. There it is.
Not only that, Gideon and Domino's first appearance, too.
Yeah, you're getting Domino, Gideon, and Deadpool. Now, and I will tell you, I went ahead, I flipped through this book, I made sure there were no nicks, no bumps, no scratches. I made sure it was in perfect condition for you. So it will be coming your
Thank you
way.
guys. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. I'm very honored to having this and for matching you guys all.
You contribute tons to the show, and we love you, man. And we wanted to get you something that was going to be hard for you to find. So we got you your white whale, buddy. You can stop hunting that white whale.
Yeah.
We got it for you.
Now I have to cross that from my list. Now the next topic is kill someone.
All right.
Stick on that bucket list, bud.
Nathan, please plug your website, sir, and any place we can find your work.
That was my 3-year-old saying.
Jules, your children are being adorable.
You can find me at nathanedmondson.com or on Twitter I'm Nathan Edmondson or on Tumblr I'm /Nathan Edmondson. I'm pretty much that everywhere. I paid good money to be sure it was that simple, so it should be that simple.
Oh, that's a nice site too. When you go on, it says like click enter, and then you click enter, and then you go in and you see all the cool stuff.
That's you don't even need to go now. She just described it so perfectly.
No, still go there, because our audience will take you literally. They just won't go.
There you go.
No, go to his site.
Go to the site, click all the things, look at all the awesome, buy it all. Love it.
Yes.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So nice to meet you.
We're honored.
Thank
Thank you, Jules, Uni, Space Chief, Rainbow, Pedro, and Megan, Ashley, Rachel, Lee Cook. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Be sure to be back with us next time. Jules, I believe we have Josh Elder, the writer of Scribblenauts Unmasked for DC, correct?
Yep.
Indeed.
So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good afternoon, and good night.